I have no filter these days. Yeah, it's a fake way of bonding, really.
Quiet.
So,
Did not go well.
and that was like the straw that broke the camel's back that led to my total emotional breakdown. Thank you, Melissa, for listening to your intuition.
My mom being dead.
And Angie.
Just see you next time.
See you next time. Okay, let's go fast. 1, 2, 3.
Unquiet soul.
Okay. It's because someone booked something on my calendar, and there's like a few other calls where it's staying the same in my client's time zone. So I have to change my calendar. So the way he booked was double booked. And I'm like, this is totally my fault because I need to change my calendar for daylight savings. I felt like a total idiot though when I responded to him because I'm like, oops, my calendar actually isn't up to date because of daylight
So
savings.
your calendar doesn't book in their time zone?
It does, but their time zone is different right now. So I think like the home logic is for my time zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So on their end, it's booking in their time, but then when the time changes, my calendar will already update. But anyone booking before daylight savings, it's all messed
Yeah, it's
up.
gonna
This happens
change.
twice a year and it drives me crazy because
Yeah,
I'm
that sounds
always
like a
the
real
one who has to like
bitch.
manually change my calendar.
Yeah, that sucks. Sorry for you. Well, I'm glad we're
Ugh.
staying the same because that was stressful last time because I was like, wait, what?
I know
Oh
we were
shit,
so
your time
confused
doesn't change?
because I think I thought I was running late and you were like, no, you're right on time. It was so confusing.
I was like, no, I was like, you're early. What?
But I think I texted you though that I was running
Yeah.
late and you were
Yeah,
just
you were
kind of
like,
like,
I'm running
whatever.
late. And I was like, no, this is still early. What do you mean? And then I was like, well, wait, I think we have a time difference now. What's new with you?
Um, oh, I had something happen and I let it bother me more than I care to admit.
Oh.
So, this is like a common thing here with service providers, such as like hairstylists or whatever, because it's just the culture. I've had so many instances where I have something booked way in advance. Cause even like hair appointments, I book months in advance or like whatever, because I want to make sure it's like in the calendar. A lot of times I will have people reach out to me and be like, hey, can you do this other time instead?
Yeah.
And I know it's because they just don't wanna do my time. It's not convenient for them. So and this has happened so many and also the reason why this bothers me is because a lot of service providers have a cancellation policy where if you cancel in less than 24 hours, they charge you a fee. So I had
Yeah.
this with a hairdresser. She did it to me twice within less than 24 hours. So the second time she charges a 50% fee if I cancel within 24 hours. So I asked her for a 50% discount because she did it to me twice. She got all pissed off about it. And I was
And
like,
I'm with you.
yeah, I'm like, that is only fair, right? So I scheduled an appointment to get my eyeliner tattoo touched up. And I've been to this girl before. She's really good. And I've never had an issue with her scheduling. But I scheduled it like a month in advance. A week before the appointment, she was like, hey, can you come in at 9 a.m. instead? And this alarm went off in my head. I'm like, she doesn't want to do an afternoon appointment. So I couldn't come in at 9 a.m. because I had a workshop. So I was like, I cannot, but I can reschedule if that time is not convenient for you. She's like, no, 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 it's fine. The morning of at 9 a.m., she sent me a text. She's like, oh, I'm not feeling well. I have to schedule your appointment. And she could have been sick, but I totally call bullshit just because this has happened so many times with so many other providers. But it pissed me off for the rest of the day because I was like, I knew she didn't want to do the appointment in the afternoon. So I was like, I should have just rescheduled. And so, but I let it bother me like all weekend.
How was it
Because
bothering you? What did it
I
feel
guess
like?
it's like because I knew, like intuitively, I'm like, she doesn't want to do my appointment in the afternoon. So even though I asked her, "Do you want me to reschedule?" She said, "No." I was just like, "I should have just rescheduled." Like, it was more beating myself up,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I was like, I just knew
Yes.
she didn't wanna do it.
Yeah. Been there. But why were you beating yourself up?
Because I wasn't trusting my intuition.
So what were you telling yourself when you were beating yourself up?
Um, well, I was straightforward and asked her if she wanted me to reschedule, and she said no, so I trusted her. And so I guess it was putting the trust in her and not my intuition. Because in
Yeah.
hindsight, the day she asked me that, I should have just rescheduled my appointment.
What wound do you think that hit for you?
Hmm. Because maybe I used to like never trust my intuition. So
Uh-huh.
now I'm like, I always trust my intuition, but then I have moments like this where I don't, and then I just kick myself because it's like, why don't I? Because I know it was right.
So, okay, if we broke it down into shadow of shame archetypes, you were using the judge to shame the shit out of yourself and tell yourself you knew better and you should have done better. So, what is the narrative that comes with that and the wound that that usually hits? Mm, It's like, it's like, I think a little bit of betrayal because a contract in your mind had been violated and not adhered to. Um,
Yeah, because there was also that because she did cancel in less than 24 hours, and I'm like, and I actually still I rescheduled. I want to look at her cancellation policy. Again, I've gone to her before and she's been pretty good, but if I don't know, I'll have to think about how I wanna handle that because it's just like, if you're gonna charge me for less than 24 hours, it needs to work both ways.
well, and that's how I feel too. Like that's why actually along the same lines, but not. I fucking can't. I discharged a client last week because they had initially canceled their initial appointment with me in like hours from the appointment, like not
Yeah.
24 hours, but hours. And I said, "Hey," and they're like, "Can we reschedule?" And I said, "I'm going to go ahead and gently name my policy. If I have more than one cancellation outside of a true emergency within the 24-hour window, I cannot be your therapist because like in a short amount of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's one thing if you're seeing each other for a while and it happens like every 6 to 8 weeks,
agree.
that's different. But like if we're seeing each other every week, anyway, so I named the
No, I'm
policy,
with you in
whatever,
that.
and they said that they understood that, and then we saw each other 2 times, and then that 3rd one, they did it again, and I said, "I will
Yeah,
no longer to be able to be your therapist." And it wasn't an emergency, and they said, "Well, I mean, I was just trying to be safe because I may not be available, so I was just but I can try." And I was like, "No, well, I'm
because
not
that means it's
I'm"
not a priority.
Right, and that's the whole reason for the policy is, like, if I'm gonna show up and be ready for this, you have to show up too, like, you have to be
Yeah,
committed to the process. But, like, where I really spent so much time and frustration with service providers is, and I get it now that, like, I'm the one scheduling things and I'm constantly trying to juggle a kid, but,
yeah.
like, it used to really piss me off to get, like, I don't want a lot of communication around this appointment. And remember, I used to get I still get Brazilians every 4 weeks, but, like, I would get a Brazilian every 4 weeks. I got my hair done every 6 weeks, and I got my nails every 2 weeks, a
Yeah.
tattoo. You know what I mean? Like, I used to have tons of service providers in my life, and I don't like a lot of communication around it. I wanna set the
I'm
fucking appointment, and if
That's
you wanna
how I
send
am.
automatic reminders, great, but don't ask me questions. I don't fucking wanna talk about the appointment again. If on occasion you need to change it, that's one thing. But like you're trying to fill your books and it's like, hey, my 2 o'clock canceled. If you want that slot, ask someone else because I don't
Yeah,
want you to ask me because now
that
I'm feeling
bothers me 'cause
pressured and stressed.
That
Like,
bothers me too,
"Oh,
because it's like
well,
I
I can't."
scheduled my time for a reason. Yeah.
Exactly, and I'm like, at the time, I had a job that I couldn't just, like, leave. I mean, I could leave, but, like, I not if I didn't plan for it, like,
Yeah.
sometimes I would purposely schedule if that's all you've got, sometimes I would go ahead and purposely schedule it like that and leave work early, but I was just like, it drove me fucking crazy. Excuse me. So, like, I just don't want that, and there was one service provider that did it every single time. Every single time it was either, "Can we push by this?" or "I've got the," and I get it, like, they were working
Because they don't
around their
want
children, but it's
or they
still
don't want,
like,
like, gaps in their day.
right, yeah, and I'm like, "I'm
But that's
sorry,
not your
I."
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and so fucking ask the person before me or after me, because I don't wanna do it. I just don't. I don't wanna even talk to I don't wanna think about this whenever I'm not thinking about it. Like, I get my phone and all of a sudden I'm like, and at that time, anything like that would throw me in survival mode because 'cause I'd be like, "Oh god,
Yeah.
I'm gonna upset them," all kinds of stuff. Whereas
Oh,
now I don't
yeah.
give a shit. I'll say no and move on with my life. Like, "No, that doesn't work for me."
But I think
And I
this is
used to be
also,
like,
like, in
"Sorry," but I don't even
conjunction
say that anymore.
but I think this is also in conjunction with what you were talking about earlier because it's hard enough to juggle your own schedule, and I feel like sometimes they put it on you to manage theirs because it's like, "Oh, it'd be more convenient if you came at this time," even though they're not explicitly saying that, but it's
Right.
like I'm, like, frazzled enough with my own schedule, so yeah, stop bothering me with yours.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing is unless you've been on both sides of the coin, I can see where they have hard time understanding what it feels like
Yeah.
to to like be asked that all the time because here's the deal, if I'm being 100% honest and I sound like an asshole saying this, they bitch about the same shit when it happens to them. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, then why do you keep doing it if like you're telling me about your appointment, like, oh, you're late to my appointment because you were having a service done and then they took longer and blah, 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 blah. And then, or even, and I was more understanding about like, hey, this appointment's taking a while. You can sit outside and wait, or you can wait at home, whatever. That's fine. That you can't help. But like
Yeah.
trying to fill a time slot, so that oh, okay, well then I won't have that, and I'll just get off early. No, I'm sorry. That's don't book with me at that time. Then if that's not what you want,
Yeah.
it used to drive me crazy. Like it literally that's one of the reasons that like was excited. I'm not gonna say that's why I started doing shit at home because it's not. It was money, but it was one of the things that was like, well, I hate all this shit anyway, and it's expensive, so I'm just gonna do whatever I can at home because it really was irritating the life out of me.
Yeah.
So fuck them. But I don't know. I guess I just like I wonder why you would be so upset with yourself,
Yeah,
though.
I guess it's just more the lack of self-compassion around making mistakes.
Yeah, but that's not really a mistake.
Yeah, I should have trusted my intuition. I mean, it was
Yeah.
a hard hit, like, she doesn't wanna do my appointment at that time, and that's specifically why I asked her, "Would you like me to reschedule?" Because I was so positive. I was like, "This is not she's not feeling this."
Which is so annoying.
Yeah. It's like, just say yes.
Right, why wouldn't you just let you reschedule? My god. Well, because at that point, she didn't wanna look bad.
Yeah. I know, cause and it's possible she might have been sick, but my intuition hit was so big the initial time she reached
It'd
out.
be an awful big coincidence.
Yeah, it would've been a really big coincidence.
Well, and then but see, where I beat myself up in these scenarios is has nothing to do with not listening to my intuition and everything to do with getting agitated at the service provider.
Oh, I did that initially because 'cause I'm like, "Why didn't you just tell me to reschedule?"
But
But then
I've
I was
really beat myself up over that. Like, that's
oh,
something I'm
really?
really working on is, like, because it agitated you. Okay, now what? because that's like in this whole like taking myself less seriously thing, it's really something I work on all the time to not like be pissed at myself for getting pissed at someone else very quickly. Like, but that's so much part of like, well, I thought there was gonna come a time when shit like this didn't agitate me anymore. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's not to the level that it used to have been, but if I do get irritated, and that's where I've always been. Always I've been like, I'm irritated with them, and then I'm talking shit to myself for being irritated. Like, Melissa, why do you make everything such a fucking big deal? And blah 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 blah. I mean, all day it'll get me because I'll just stay in that
Yeah.
spiral. Now I don't get in that spiral as much, for one, because I'm taking myself less seriously. But two, I just recognize, oh, we're in that little loop. It's a feedback loop that like you got dysregulated because your schedule changed. For so many reasons you reacted. You don't want to feel like you're a burden. So you're not
Yeah.
happy that you can't change the time and that they're gonna feel a certain way. Um and any sort of inconsistency, that's truly the reason I got firm on my cancellation policy, is because right now, post loss, my grief is not allowing for all this extra
Yeah.
inconsistency. First of all, you texting me outside of like we're about to meet in 4 hours. Now I'm having to use brain power. I am sucking at initiating, at getting stuff done in terms of scheduling. So, like, now I actually have to, like, look at my which doesn't seem that hard, but, like, when I'm trying to
No,
juggle things, it
I
is
get it.
hard to move a slot for you. And so, I was like, "I can't do inconsistency in any area of my life right now." I recognized it as a trigger to my nervous system, and so I've said, like, I told, my friend who owns the agency that I'm doing the contract work for, I told her, when she was like, "How can I help you?" I'm like, "I gotta drop some clients right now because I can't do this. I can't do
Yeah.
you didn't remember the appointment." I mean, I was getting so much of that on my very first week back, and I was like, "No, I cannot fucking do this." And so
Yeah.
I just can't, and I'm fine with that 100%. Like, I didn't feel anything about it whenever because and I really liked this person as a client, really did,
Yeah.
and we were really getting somewhere just after a couple sessions, but it's like, "No, because you're not prioritizing this." And first of all, it is my income, and I
Yeah.
would like to know what's gonna come in and what's not. It's already so sketchy with when I submit the billing versus when it's submitted to the state
Yeah.
versus when I'm reimbursed. Like, that's already hard enough to deal with, but you not showing up means 0 is gonna come in. So and then I've gotta work extra to get you in so that I can get that money. No, fuck that, I can't do it. And so integrity says do things that are good for your spirit, and I just can't. But I used to spend so much time just shit talking myself because I'd get upset. And
Yeah.
now I just recognize this is something that activates me is inconsistency. I don't like it, and I'm much more compassionate about it now than I used to be because I have been now the person who's had to cancel things last minute. Uh I learned something like, oh shit, this parent teacher conference, they didn't give me a good time for it. All this
Yeah.
stuff last minute comes up. So I've had to do it. So I am more like easygoing about it now. But I don't it irritates my spirit. Somebody who just
Yeah.
is flaky, and
But
I'm
even
okay with it.
even in this situation, I felt like you were compassionate because you said they did it before, but then it happened
Mhm.
again only a few weeks later. Also, it would be different if they were like, "Hey, I realize I have this problem with inconsistency and I would like that's one of the things I would like to work with you on." Because then it would like show that they actually care about changing, but when they don't like seem to even care or seem to want to prioritize it, then it's like,
Right.
why should I bend over backwards?
Right, and that's why I mean, I told my friend, I was like, I'm sad about it because I really liked her." And she's like, "I do too, I'll get her reassigned, whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I do feel bad for my friend that she now has to go through the work of that, but I'm like, "I told you, like, don't even bother giving me a client that you don't feel is going to be consistent because
Yeah.
and like if you don't want every week appointments, let's say that too.
Yes.
You know? Finally I asked someone like when I came back after Jake, I was like, I had to kind of name the policy because she was one that canceled that first week. And I was like, just so you know, I'm getting very firm on this. And I've just dropped clients. I don't want to drop you. And here's why I'm having to do it this way. And she was like, thank you for not dropping me, blah, blah, blah. And then after we met, I was like, would it be more helpful? Because I know you do have a lot going on. Would it be more helpful to just do every other week? And she was like, yes. Then I had a client who needs twice a week. So it's like, hey, that works perfect because now that's a little less of a headache to try to fit her. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it all works out, but I just don't. It's frustrating for me because in listening to my intuition, it's like, I know this is what needs to be done, but damn it, how am I ever gonna fucking make any money? You know, like, like it just happens so much, and I just it's frustrating, and so I'm literally in this practice right now of like, okay, well, the money's just gonna show up there tomorrow. I don't know. I guess like if I have to pay this bill tomorrow, I guess there's gonna be money there because I don't know how, but
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it works out though, because one of my clients, we worked a lot on her dating life. And one of her things was she was afraid to raise her standards because it's like, well, then that dating pool decreases. And then, like, I'm already worried that I'm not going to find someone. So now I'm
yeah.
really worried that I'm not going to find someone. But and I understand that thought process, but then the opposite ends up happening, and that's what happened to her. She, like, ended up attracting better quality people because she had that limited dating pool. So, it's my belief that by having those standards, like, eventually the money will come as a result of that. You're just not seeing it yet.
And that's, I think, a good way to look at it because I am telling myself I'm worth consistency
See, that's what I mean. Yeah, so you have a
and
standard.
I don't have to live in survival of just taking scraps from anyone in any regard of life.
So when you start attracting consistent people, they'll start paying you consistently also.
Yeah. Well, the problem is likely the clients I get from that agency are all going to be the same because they're usually like in
Um,
transition from like being unhoused. So, I mean, I get
oh,
it. They have some real shit, but
yeah. Also, that explains their inconsistency because 'cause they're not
yeah.
used to, like, a routine or anything, most
Well,
likely.
and yes, and there's just a lot of habits and coping skills that they've picked up along the way that
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the gauntlet down pretty quickly about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the stuff changes pretty quickly when it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna now come back at you with this," and then they're like, "Oh, but, no," you know? Like, without getting too specific, but yeah, that's what
I
sucks
know what
about
you're
that is
talking about.
because that's the all the clientele is the same through that agency, and so whatever. It is what it is. I mean, not every single I mean, I have other clients from there that are very consistent, but, like, I haven't carried a very heavy load from there at all ever because I of stuff like that is too inconsistent, you know?
Well, how is your friend getting these people? Is it, like, through their own want of getting help?
I think it's probably a requirement
See,
for
that's
some services.
and that's the issue I have with, like,
Yeah,
mandated things because people only change what they wanna change, and that's what creates the inconsistency because they don't really wanna change.
right.
Yeah.
So, it's a whole problem that I have
Yeah.
to deal with all the time,
That makes a lot more sense though, actually.
which is why it gets frustrating when people are like, "You need to charge a cancellation fee and da 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 da." I'm like, "You can't." You know what I mean? Like, that's not an option. So, I just got really firm about my cancellation policy.
And honestly, your policy's very fair, so
Yeah, I mean, I let her reschedule after that first one, so whatever. It's frustrating. That's the type of shit I get caught in a thought spiral about is whether I should be irritated. Was I too hard? Am I too blah
Mhm.
blah blah? Because like, well, actually, that's how I know that I have to be firm on my policy. Because 'cause I'll quit thinking about it once I said the words. I was very dysregulated through the whole thing because it doesn't feel good to set a boundary, you know?
Yeah, I know.
But once I got it all out and held firm and let my friend know and all the things, I was like, "Okay, moving on with my day." Well, because I don't like that stuff. I don't I I don't like dealing with it, and that's where I always second guess myself is, like, my response to my environment and my experiences. It's never really, like, how I should have, like, done something outwardly in terms of, like, rescheduling or something like that. It's how I've let it impact me emotionally. I can really beat the shit out of myself for stuff like that.
See, and that was my issue over the weekend because it was just like I came to the realization, I was like, I've spent way too long beating myself up over this because it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I guess we're
So
still
that's where
gonna,
I landed.
have those days where it happens, but it's like, that it's such a source of shame if you're, like, almost embarrassed to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whenever I brought it up to you, that one of our first episodes, I was telling you about, like, the way I felt about being rejected by somebody's
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah, and it was like, I wasn't it my embarrassment and shame really came from the fact that, like, I cared about the rejection, like, that I had this
Yeah.
emotional response. I'm supposed to be unbothered, like, God, how many fucking times a day can I get the same lesson over and over and over about how it's okay to have human reactions to things?
Yeah.
And resistance keeps us stuck. So the more I'm like, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it," the more I'm like, "You motherfucker." But, like, now that this last week, I've really been like, "And you're allowed to feel that way. Now what?" That's
Yeah.
it. It goes away. I'm like, "Oh, okay. Really? That's it?
No,
Okay."
isn't it funny? Like, just allowing yourself to feel the way you feel is an
Yes.
amazing practice. Yeah.
Yes. Like, the person I was recording with before you, um, she was talking about, like, your thoughts make your reality, the way that we believe,
Yeah.
you're the creator of your reality. And I was like, I'm going to pause here and back up just a smidge because I have really been in this place where I'm trying to teach people, like, while this is true, you're also a human first. I was like, so I just want to hug everyone who's hearing this and might be like me and be like, oh God, I knew it was all my fault. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I'm going to attract horrible things because I think about it and da 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 da. Like, I am now in control of the emotional response that I give to the thoughts. And so I'm not sitting around creating a reality of bullshit because I'm having emotional responses and assigning a bunch of meaning to thoughts. The thoughts are going to happen. That's okay. The words are
Yeah.
going to come out of your mouth. That's okay. But like, let's back up because, you know, there are people like me out here who are listening and going,
I no,
oh, because you can't fucking control every thought that you have.
I know. I'm so glad you clarified that because I think that's a missing piece in reality creation. And if you really
Mm-hmm.
like, I read a book and it did I we ever talk about this? It's called The Parallel Universes of Self, but it
I don't
actually
think so.
because when you talk about reality creation, you can go way on the woo-woo spectrum or you can
You
go
sure
way on the
can.
science spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
This book is very sciency, so it actually speaks a lot to nervous system regulation because to your point, like you're a human being, you're going to be feeling all of the things at any given time. But the key is like keeping your nervous system regulated in those times because if
Yes.
you're in that constant fight or flight, that's how you're creating a reality that you might not want to have. Whereas
Yeah.
you're having feelings, but you're like, okay, um, you're giving yourself permission to feel it. You feel safe in your body while feeling them. It's the feeling that matters because if you feel safe, then that gives you permission to create the reality that you really want. And but anyway,
Yes.
my point is there's so many specific nuances to this that I think are very important to say instead of just like, just think happy thoughts and then you'll have, all everything.
Right. Right. And this is why, if I'm being very honest, I've gotten very selective about those conversations where I really want to talk to super grounded people because you can do some harm, you know? You can do
I
some
agree.
harm I know I feel harmed by the spiritual community a little bit because I was so scared. It really just triggered all of my pre-existing stuff to where I was like, "Oh god," you know?
I know.
And so, like, as I because I was starting to get a little activated myself in the conversation, and I've discussed with you the fear that I made Jake die because I used to worry about it all the time. There's, stuff where, like, I've always worried something will happen to Brian, and, I don't want to sit around thinking I'm causing something bad to happen, and so, like, the switch that's happened in terms of Brian is I think it, I feel a little nervous, and then I go, "Hey, you know what this is? Like, that's just, you're dysregulated. This is your nervous system
See,
saying, I
yeah.
don't feel safe. Let's make the feeling of safety." And then I move on. But, like, versus acting from that place of survival where it's like, "Oh god,
See,
how can I stop this from happening?"
and that's that feeling that would attract something bad happening,
Yes.
whereas the feeling
Yes.
that you choose from the regulated state is attracting something bad not happening.
Right. Yeah, because you move totally different than you
And you're still
do
having the thoughts, the difference is how you feel about the thoughts.
and the meaning that you assign.
Yes, which is,
Yeah,
I think, also related to the feeling in your body, because if you make the
absolutely.
meaning bad, that's when you start to, like, get all riled up
Oh
internally.
god, yes. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, and
so
I will say, like, experiencing such a big trauma, I mean, it really fucks with you, like,
oh, yeah.
it's this is the number one thing I'm having to overcome is a dysregulated nervous system. It feels better all the time, but it's constant work, and it's good. It's good work if I'm, like, classifying it, but, like, at first, it was just so exhausting to be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh my god, what the fuck?" You know? And to just, like, feel scared all the time again when I used to be that way, and then I wasn't, and then, I was so glad to know what it was immediately, like, I was looking for the signs that I'm dysregulated, I'm like, "Oh, there it is." Like, all it took was a little, fucking puppy in my house. I mean, but even, like, New Year's Eve, I was like, "Bryson, please stay home." Like, I
Right.
cannot worry. Like,
Yeah.
you have no idea what it's gonna do to me if you leave this house. Like, I'm not gonna be able to function because at that point, there was no visualization, affirmation, nothing that was gonna help me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, nothing, which would be normal 2 weeks after a major trauma, but,
Well, of
like, I've
course.
slowly I mean, thank God I'm sharing locations with everyone because I do have to check it periodically.
But yeah, that's just it, like that hypervigilance. Cause yeah, I used to live my life like that.
Oh my god, me too, and I didn't even know. I didn't even
Same.
know, and no wonder I was so fucking agitated
Yeah, I
all
know.
the time
Oh, I know,
because
I had
I
chronic
was like
anxiety.
rabid. That's how I was. It was awful. It was an
Me
awful
too.
place to live, and I see why that would cause, like, a an array of autoimmune diseases because
Oh,
you're
yeah, that's how I
constantly fighting
developed.
your own self.
Yeah. I know, that's how I developed an autoimmune disease, and then in hindsight, when I realized how they develop well, and also, there's actually 2 ways they can develop, and I was actually, like, burning the candle at both ends in this aspect. It can be emotional stress, chronic emotional stress, but also chronic physical stress. Because I also used to beat myself up through,
Running your
over-exercising.
ass off.
Because a lot of in researching this, I found out a lot of former Olympians get autoimmune disorders because they're just constantly training and beating their bodies up.
Really? See, I
Yeah.
knew that there was that mind-body connection. I knew that you don't get them for no reason, but I didn't know that. I guess I kind of wow, I've never heard this about Olympians. It does make
Yeah.
perfect sense to me, but
I know,
yeah,
doesn't
when
it?
you're
Yeah.
doing all that,
Or like
it
Serena Williams, she doesn't have lupus. Like, there's lupus and there's this other one. They're like the, like, grandmothers of all autoimmune disorders because they affect your whole body, but Serena Williams has one of those, and again, it makes sense
oh,
because she's such a physical athlete, or I
yeah, I
don't think
didn't
she
know that.
competes anymore, but
Oh, I
she
didn't know
obviously
that.
used to, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm glad that they're finally starting to see the link because
Yeah, I
really
wish
your nervous
I
system
noticed
is
this
the
a long
key to
time
all.
ago. I know, because I was like, "I wish I would have known this. I would have done more to manage my anxiety."
Yeah, I even stopped saying that anymore because it's like, well, it was all part of the path, you know? Like
I
we
know.
weren't even physical ailments forcing you to slow down and you know what I
I
mean? Like it's
know.
a redirection.
'Cause that's, like, one of the reasons I stopped exercising the way I did, because I it just physically would, like, cause too many flare-ups.
What is it okay? What autoimmune disease do you have?
I have Hashimoto's, it affects your thyroid.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's what my friend has. She
Mhm.
has that and a couple other things.
Oh, yeah, because once you have one, you're at risk for developing others. I actually have this other one. It's, I can't remember what it's called, but basically my body doesn't absorb B12. And so what happens, how I know that I'm not getting enough B12, my tongue gets all red and raw. Like, you know how your tongue feels when it's burned? My entire
Yeah.
tongue feels like that. Um, and so I just have to take like a shitload of I just have like these B12 supplements. I'll just take like a handful if my tongue starts feeling like that.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, you're like at risk for developing like others once you have one.
Well, whenever I was still working in education, my last year as a teacher, I got alopecia and I had
Yeah.
a bald spot like right here. It wasn't horrible, but it was getting there. And back here, I mean, it was like if you looked at my hairline, there was like two, and I was like, "The fuck is this?" I was so stressed. I was losing hair too. Like it was awful. But I was also running, but also that job really fucking sucked.
I know.
And
My
so I
corporate
started
job,
actually
I lost so much hair.
and you will when you're stressed. Like that's one of the first things that'll happen. And so I went to the doctor and I did a plant-based diet for like 9 months because well, he said it would help and it did. Because I was trying to do like not anti-inflammatory, but like, which one was it? Not anti-inflammatory because you shouldn't do too much of that whenever you have autoimmune. Um, it was a different protocol that I was doing. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I finally got my health kind of back in order, and it was coming off. It was at the tail end. Like I had stopped doing keto, but I was constantly trying to restart keto
Mhm.
and trying to lose weight. And then I had done the Mediterranean diet and had done really well with that, like, I felt good, everything was really good, but I
Is
was
that like a
still
lot of
running a
oil and
ton.
fat? Or what is that one?
Yeah, but also, like,
Fish.
berries,
Oh,
uh, I think there was, like, uh, very little dairy, very little grains. It wasn't like a all out, but it was little of those things, so it felt good, but yeah, so then I felt better, and I just kinda, like, was like, "Okay, no more dieting." I could just kinda
yeah,
quit
well,
dieting at
because
that point.
that can be stressful. Because when I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I went down this rabbit hole because it's like, "You shouldn't eat dairy, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that." Like, there's a whole list. So I'm like, "What am I supposed to eat? Like, watermelon?" So then I would get stressed out when I went to the grocery store because it's like, I don't know what to buy because I can't have anything. And then that would stress me out. So finally, I was like, I'm just going to eat what I enjoy eating. And the less stress from worrying about the diet, like, caused my issues to resolve themselves. So the ultimate thing is just don't be stressed about it.
Yeah, yeah, cause that I remember whenever I was plant-based, it literally got to where I was fucking just eating Mostly potato products, fries, hash browns, tater tots, or baked potatoes, like, that was probably most of what I ate because I was like, "It's easy, I like them, and I know that they don't have the shit in them that I can't have,"
Yeah.
so then it got to where I was like, "You know, I think I'll try regular food again," and I did fine, but, I mean, I have dieted one other time since then, but I n then it fucked me up again, but because listen, the thing about me, I start, not eating and I get real bitchy, real bitchy.
Oh, hangry, yeah.
Yes, and I think it's just related to blood sugar, but ooh.
Oh, yeah. Well, even just in general, because I used to be, like, totally into fitness. I used to have a six-pack, but to maintain that level, you have to starve yourself. So, like, you're irritable
Mhm.
all the time, you're, like, grumpy, and, like, to me, it just got to the point where it's like, it's not worth living like this because I was miserable in my own life, and for what? So and this is when I lived in Chicago, so the only time my abs are even showing are, like, what, July and August, like, 2 months out of
Right.
the year. Maybe now it may be a little bit more worth it, but I'm, like, long past that phase of my life, but it's like, "What am I doing this for?"
Yeah, now I have to, like, get serious about movement and losing some weight for my A1C,
You're
but
what?
A1C, the marker they look at for, like, diabetes.
Um,
Yeah, because 'cause I'm prone to all that shit, and the
oh,
last
you
time I had it checked, it was not good, so I'm sure it's way worse now.
oh, of course. Is
So I
diabetes
gotta
affected by
do that.
stress, or is that purely just blood sugar? I guess it could be indirectly
Well,
real.
blood sugar is affected by stress for
Yeah,
sure.
interesting.
Yeah. Um, it runs in my family, type 2 does, and I had gestational diabetes really bad.
Oh, really?
Mhm. Yep, with all 3 pregnancies. Each one was worse than the other. So now I'm just but that's why I tell Bryce, I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're 2 times more likely to have type 2 diabetes."
But it's not your fault, it's not like you chose.
Yeah, and I did try to, like, manage it well while I was pregnant. I didn't just, like, eat whatever. I followed the protocol, but I don't like having to worry about shit like that because it puts pressure on the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Also, again, I used to be so obsessive about, like, diet and exercise, so just even thinking about it stresses me out.
Exactly, exactly. That's why, like, any sort of movement, I just want it to be what I wanna do. I don't want it to be like,
Yeah.
"You have to or else." Like, I really do like lifting weights, and so that has no attachment to anything other than I like it, and there are a lot of health benefits to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm caring more about my health because my whole thing is this. If some quick, painless thing happened, the idea of that, not so scary. What scares me and motivates me is the idea of living with a chronic illness because I didn't take care of myself.
Well, especially diabetes, like, your leg could
Mhm.
fall off, and you're still
Right.
alive, and now you have to live with
Right.
that.
You have to
Yeah.
deal with it and, like, just normal everyday shit doesn't heal and you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, I'm
And it
with you on
also
that.
can create kidney and heart issues, so it's like, "Oh, fuck, I gotta get this shit together." But I don't want to, like, ugh. I don't like it's that pathological demand avoidance. I fucking hate having to do something.
Same.
And then I get all obsessive. Cause like, if I'm gonna do it, I will do really well if I have, like, a little blood sugar monitor and tracking
Yeah.
it and writing numbers down.
Oh, but I get
All my little
obsessive as
Virgo
hell.
stellium makes me love that shit.
But, like
Love that shit.
but by love, you mean it makes you neurotic, right?
Oh, yeah. And then it becomes my whole fucking personality where that's all I can talk about. "No, I can't, not cause that'll spike my blood sugar." "How many grams of carbs does that have?" "Oh, 90. I'm only supposed to have 60." "Hmm." When I was eating vegan, it was my whole fucking personality.
Oh,
I was like,
really?
"I can't eat that. That has dairy in it. Did you know everything has dairy in it?" Just like it was my whole fucking personality.
I would've
Like, I was
hated
at
this.
dinner one time with Brian. So the year that I went with him, one of the years that I went with him on that trip that he goes on every year,
Yeah.
There's a couple of different meals that are catered really big, and I was at one of them, and it was not a good time because I was having to eat plant-based. And bitch, I talked about that ad nauseum, and I even caught myself like, "You're being that girl. Shut the fuck up." And I couldn't, and then I just sat there quietly because it was like, "Yeah, that was a little too much." And then oddly, nobody seemed to wanna hang out with me for the rest of that trip, so
See, I don't mind, like, if someone's vegan or whatever and that's how they wanna eat, that's fine, but once you start commenting on my food is when I get irritated because it's like,
I didn't comment on anyone else's food,
okay.
but I
It
was
was
like,
just
"I
like
can't eat
but
it."
but just like the general comments even, like, "Oh, I don't even know,"
Yes.
like
Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I was annoying, and so I was like, "You're being annoying." It did not stop me for a little bit, it didn't, and then I was like, "Shut the fuck up, Melissa," and I finally did, and it was like, weird, we don't have anything else to say today, okay. Alright, well, that's good, I guess." Yeah, it was embarrassing. I literally sometimes cringe still thinking about that conversation because I know I wouldn't shut the fuck up about it, and it really truly was just because, A, I was so fucking sad to not eat this beautiful dinner, and B, I was
Oh,
starving and they had very little options when I had been told prior there would be plenty of options. And so
because,
I was like really upset about it because I was starving.
first of all, the people who tell you that there's options are not vegan, so they don't understand what the options are, but
True.
I love that self-awareness because you, like, really peeled back the layers because it really wasn't about, like, just the superficial part of it at all.
No. Listen, it was embarrassing. It was really embarrassing because, well, I still remember that girl's face when I was like 5 minutes past when I should have shut the fuck up. So I was like,
Oh god, that's me because my face does not lie. Because I would've been like I would've had the face on.
exactly. You know, I used to be so good about
Oh
looking concerned. Like I
oh,
could
I'm
I
not.
like my face never gave a damn thing away, but the more I've grown into authenticity, the more it just happens. I'm not even thinking. I'm like, "Oh, my face just communicated everything I was thinking." And then there was this middle part of that at the height of my mental health crisis where I didn't give a fuck and I wanted to communicate with my face. Like, I was
Mm,
getting shitty with people just from the looks. Like, if they were standing there trying to have a conversation with me, because I worked with really toxic people. And so I was getting to where, like, I was not taking shit from people anymore. And so, like, it's not always appropriate to interrupt. So I'd be sitting there taking in what they're, bullshit saying to me but I would be communicating a lot back with just my face very intentionally. Then it got to where, like, I didn't even notice. I'm like, "Oh, shit, I did it again." Like, now I can't take it back. I can't take it back, and I was just giving them a really shitty face.
see, I think that's where my resting bitch face came from because it was like trying to force myself to just have a neutral face, but it's so unnatural, it just comes out looking mean.
Oh
And
my
now it's
god.
like it's almost like my natural look now, like or like my yeah, like my
Where you're
natural
like,
resting face, yeah. Because 'Cause I'm just
"I have
like,
to look
got so
neutral."
used well, it started in corporate America because it's like I just could not hide how I felt about a lot of things, so by trying to be neutral, it just came out as the resting bitch face.
That's so funny. So your mom wasn't the type of person who, like, demanded you look a certain way when you were getting lectured?
Oh, no.
Oh god, my grandma was.
Like, what did she do?
Well, she'd be, like, doing this thing, for hours of just, like, shaming you, and, like, she'd be triggered, and it'd just be, like, "And then another thing, and I just think it's funny that," and, all that shit.
Yeah.
And, I'd be looking all bored or whatever 'cause,
Uh,
I've dissociated now, like, "It's been 2 hours, bitch," and she'd be like, "And you don't even fucking care, and da 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 da, and I can tell by the look on your face," shit like
um,
that, to where it got to where I got very good at, like, I'm not listening to a word you say, but
but I can pretend like I'm paying attention.
yeah,
That makes a lot of
yeah.
sense.
Oh, I used to be so good at it, so good at it. But I remember sitting there looking at her going, "Mental note, don't do that again. Mental note, look like you care." I mean, I'm like 12,
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there making sure my face looks a certain way. Because then also you'd get told, "I'm about to slap that look off your face."
Mm.
She would too, bitch. Not me, because I fixed my face, but I seen it. I saw her slap, and I was like, "Oh, she meant that shit, so I will fix mine." That's how I always did things. I watched how she did with my brothers, and I'm like, "Oh, god damn, okay. I care so much about what you're saying, grandma. Let me just" and I'd be like, "I know, I'm sorry." I would do that so "I know, I'm sorry. I know."
But it was just to appease her.
Yeah, well, she was a bitch. What I mean, I didn't even have a chance to feel sorry. I probably was sorry. I mean, her level of shaming was like, you feel like a real giant piece of shit by the end of
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, I mean, I probably really did care, but I'm being performative because that's what you're asking of me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't like say that over and over just because, but like, damn, have I met the mark yet? Have we hit your quota where you're gonna accept that I care, that you're pissed at me? Because that's what she'd do is like, no, you don't give a shit. Da, 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 da. And I'd be like, I do care. And she'd be like, no, no, I could tell. It was just it's fucking stupid. She was so stupid about
Yeah,
it.
that's so petty.
Petty is a great word to describe her, but she was also a Gemini. We don't we don't have the best reputations for a reason. You know, the level of manipulation that comes in communication. And I wonder too what her Mercury sign was because, like, ours is Cancer. So we naturally have a more empathetic, like, style of communication. But, like, she was manipulative as fuck, but just our sun sign being Gemini, I mean, we gonna be passive aggressive. We gonna,
Mhm.
those are our little heels to climb. She was a bitch. She really was. God rest her soul.
So wait, when did she die?
February 14th, 2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yep. It's been 11 years. And I just got over that shit last year when I had a medium on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It finally, like, I don't know, something happened where I was just like, that's who she was supposed to be. Like, it's okay. Like, there's even a chance that she didn't learn the lessons she was supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't make that turn. And maybe that was predetermined for me because she was in my soul family, or maybe, like, I was gonna get these lessons from her one way or another, but she didn't change. I mean, she didn't change at all from that shit when I was younger to when she died.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it kinda gave me compassion because we were talking about my mom, and the medium was like, "I mean, there's a chance she just didn't make it, like, she just kinda didn't pass or whatever," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense," and I was like, "God, I bet
Mm.
that's what happened with my grandma too."
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, have you
I
thought
mean, I
about
do
having
know
a
people can
medium
do that,
on
but,
for Jake?
I wanna talk to a medium, but, probably not for the show.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, I'd want it to be more private, and I wanna be selective about who I choose to. Like, I wanna make sure they're, like, a certain personality, I
No,
guess.
that makes sense.
'Cause I've met mediums that I didn't like, you know? Like, I would love to talk to her, that lady that I had spoken with, but
You just wanna do it on air
she's expensive.
or record
No,
it.
because 'cause I'd want it to be private.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, we've run out of time, love.
Yes. Pleasure talking to you as always.
As always. I love your earrings. Alright,
Oh,
I'll
thank
see you
you.
next week. Hello. Before you go, make sure to check the show notes for all the links. You can join us on Patreon to get our weekly companion, The Unquiet Lowdown, and explore the other membership offers waiting for you there. And if you're enjoying the show, it means so much when you hit that follow button and give us a 5-star rating to help other souls find their way here.